Is November a government ploy to stop Halloween and Christmas combining into a mega holiday that destroys the Earth?
No.
Hey guys, it's Kit here. Well, as it happens, there was an issue with Rory's mic on this recording, so it's not going to sound quite as professional as usual, but do not be discouraged. It will be back to normal after next week. Sit tight, strap yourselves in, and enjoy this paranormal life. Do elephants remember everything because they're actually giant walking hard drives? Answers to these questions and more on this episode of This Paranormal Life. Welcome back to the podcast. It is yet another Tuesday with yet another paranormal case ready to be busted wide open.
Exactly. Everyone's favorite day of the week, Tuesday.
You know who's tuning in today? The Dalai Lama, ex-president Obama,
current president Trump,
ex-president George W. Jr. and Sr.
Of course. You know the red phone that they have in the White House?
Yes.
That's me. That's my phone.
I am your host today, Mr. Kit Greer, joined by my professional investigator co-host, Mr. Roy Powers.
I am a professional paranormal investigator. Ask me how many times I've seen Bigfoot.
How many times have you seen Bigfoot?
Not yet, but I'm still hunting. That's why I'm a paranormal investigator.
I'm still investigating.
If I'd seen him, I'd f***ing stop.
If I'd seen him, I would have retired.
Exactly.
Anyway, This Paranormal Life is the only podcast where every week we dissect a different paranormal tale, claim, or case, and we get to the bottom of it to work out whether it is true or whether it is false.
Mm-hmm. What do you got for us today, kids?
A pretty sober one.
Oh.
We'll just jump right in.
Let's do it.
The year is 1959.
Recent.
Relatively, I suppose.
I'm a little worried you started with that recent a year, and then the first word you're going to say is Igor.
But you know about Frankenstein. A lot of people are called Igor where this is set.
Right.
In Frankenstein's
Interior,
hometown.
Frankenstein's castle.
Igor is stepping off the train into Ivdel, a Siberian town in what was then the Soviet Union.
Okay.
It's very far north and extremely cold. Perfect conditions, he thought to himself. He's brought 9 friends on this journey. 7 guys, 2 girls. Igor is the leader.
Off a bit.
Sexist pig. Asshat. Unlike this podcast.
Yeah.
Known for its...
Yeah, ratio's off a bit. Should have been all dudes. All dudes.
What are
making
chicks doing on a guy's trip to Siberia?
That's the only paranormal thing about this trip. That we're missing 2 dicks.
2 dicks short of a party.
If you're a female that listens to this podcast, I apologize. Sorry. I'm really sorry. So we're cutting that joke previous, yes?
Igor is the leader of this group. At just 23 years old, they're all students at Ural Federal University.
Cool.
They've come to Ivdel on an expedition of sorts. Everyone in the group is an expert skier with the highest certification available in the Soviet Union at the time. It required over 300 kilometers of hiking and skiing.
At 23? Damn.
23.
Igor?
Absolutely.
What a beast.
He's an outdoorsman.
Yeah.
Nothing like freaking podcasting young men of today who've barely skied 10 kilometers.
I can barely walk.
You ever heard of a mobility scooter? They were taking time off university to embark on an ambitious hike, trekking many miles across the Siberian wilderness to a mountain called Otorten.
Okay.
How much are like Russian place names just like you hear it and you're like, fine, I'll go with that?
Yeah, I don't want to be just... You could have said anything.
I could have said anything. I could have said
foreign...
Toto's Africa. And like, I guess that's probably a town somewhere in the world.
It's so true. Yeah, like Mount Hokey Pokey. And I'd be like, the Mount Hokey Pokey?
I'm honored.
So the legends are true.
With spirits high, they took a truck to Vizhai.
Again, that's probably like Russian for McDonald's or something.
The most northerly settlement in the region. That was as far as the road could take them. They found somewhere in town to buy loaves of bread. They split them between them to keep their energy up before going to sleep that night, to rest up before their big expedition.
What are they, peasants?
It's 1959 in Siberia. What do you want them to do?
Buy a chocolate bar or something.
I don't know.
Splitting loaves of bread? Like they're freaking biblical?
I think I might actually, just for the sake of the podcast, I'll like look up what does Vizhai look like
Right.
to give us a picture.
It is a McDonald's.
Shit.
They split a fish fillet before trekking the dangerous mountain.
They split a single hash brown from the breakfast menu.
One of them was a student and got a free McFlurry. But the icy weather was cold enough.
Igor forgot his student card, so had to settle for a double cheeseburger. 99
The toy adventure time. But the meal was the only thing that would be happy on this journey.
The fries, salty and sour. Much like his compatriots on this trip.
Much like the soon-to-be produced Igor's tears. The pickles! Nowhere to be seen, like the bodies of Igor's group. Ronald himself would frown upon... Okay, Kit, please. So what's the name of this town?
Vizhai?
Alright, I'm looking at a picture of Vizhai. I see 3 houses. I now understand
House
why.
is a strong word for what those are.
I mean, one of them does have the golden M hovering above it.
The frickin' arches are everywhere.
Yeah, it's like cabins, essentially 4 cabins, splitting the bread at this point.
It's very much an outpost.
Right, yeah. Getting some Red Dead
It's very
vibes.
much where criminals go to die, I would say. On the morning of January 27th, they set off towards Otorten, the mountain at the end of their road. Things were going well, but one member of the group, Yuri Yurdin, was struggling. He suffered from a heart defect and rheumatism.
Why is he going on a goddamn treacherous mountain trek?
So ambitious.
I know.
Guys, I swear, I can make the expedition team. He's in like 3 crutches somehow. Yuri, I don't think this is he's blind and deaf.
Yeah.
Like, Yuri, I don't know how to break this to you, man. You can't hear them. What?
Yeah.
Fine.
I can make it. I just have to look past my disabilities and crippling fear of mountains and snow. Say, fellas, why are we so cold? No one tell him.
He's in board shorts and flip-flops. When we hitting the beach, guys? The joint pain that his afflictions caused him was making the journey unbearable.
Bad group. Don't let him sign up for the group. That's so bad. He sounds like he doesn't want to be there.
Maybe it was
Split him some more bread. Let him stay in the fucking McDonald's.
Maybe it was one of those things. It's like when someone just won't take no for an answer. You're like, fine, come to the Siberian wilderness and see what you think.
Yeah.
3 steps in, he's like, guys, I actually want to frickin' go back to McDonald's, I think. The coffee's hot and the ice cream's cold. It really has it all. He sadly had to say goodbye to the group to return back to Vizhai and then on home.
Okay.
He left the other 9 to continue their adventure unabated.
Alright, fair play.
A couple days of trekking went by and the weather started to take an unexpected turn. The snow was getting thicker and thicker. They didn't expect it. The visibility was just getting worse and worse. They got lost and turned slightly west, off track. This took them up a mountain known as Kholat Syakhl. In a language called Mansi, that translates roughly to Dead Mountain.
Jesus.
Not Death Mountain, Dead Mountain.
Right.
When they realized they'd gone wrong, they decided to wait out the weather and camped on the side of the mountain. At this point, Yudin, who had left the group, was back at Vizhai and making his way home. It's February 12th at this point, and the guys at the sports club back at the university that Igor and his friends are members of are expecting a telegram from Igor at any minute telling them he's on the way back. Well, February 12th comes to an end, and there's still no telegram. What gives? Yudin reveals that Igor did tell him on the beginning of the expedition that they might be delayed. It was common enough at that time. There wasn't much communication. Expeditions frequently got delayed. It's fine. They might get delayed by a few days.
Last I saw, they were headed up just by Death Mountain.
Yeah.
In between Suicide Hill and Razor Ridge. So
They had like 3 frozen Big Macs apiece between them, so it was fine.
it'll be a while before they have to start eating each other. It is no worries. It's fine. I didn't kill them, if that's what you're wondering. Why do you have 7 watches, Yuri?
Is that a necklace of teeth? Did you
I had
always
that
wear
before
that?
I went on the hike. My hip hurts. I have to leave. Mobility scooters out of there.
Well, more days passed, and every day that went by, people were getting more and more uncomfortable with what had happened. Where the hell is Igor? Why hasn't he contacted? Is he okay? By the 20th, the families of the students with Igor are demanding a search and rescue operation. It's not okay. Volunteers, students and teachers suited up and headed north. First to Vizhai, then on into the wilderness. They journeyed north, retracing the footsteps of Igor and his friends. But as days went by, the search got more and more desperate. The army was eventually called in. Helicopters are scouring the wilderness and the surrounding mountains.
Because these are presumably some snowy ass mountains.
This is hectic snow.
They've been gone for long enough that trails are covered, bodies possibly are covered. You know, you're dealing with some treacherous situations up there.
Absolutely. Happy Meal toys, 6 to 7 foot deep at that point.
Yeah,
almost
they're going to be hard
untraceable.
I'm not going to say I have a lot of experience in those weather conditions, but I'm 27 years old this year in July. Yeah. I've made, in my winters, maybe 6 snowmen.
Yeah.
And I understand how difficult the snow can be to hold, to mold.
Yeah.
To successfully place a carrot within the snow.
Yeah. Sometimes your hands go like red and
numb.
And it's quite hard to move them because it's very cold.
Right, and you need hot cocoa by Mummy to make your hands heat up a little bit. And that's difficult. That is difficult.
And sometimes she doesn't have marshmarshwows and you just have to throw a bit of rage.
Yeah. And inevitably smash Snowman's head in and say, is this what you wanted, Mummy? Snowman's dead now.
Mummy's crying at that point.
Mummy's crying.
Yeah.
Because Snowman's nickname for my brother, who died in winter.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a sad track down memory. So snow is difficult. Snow can be tough.
I feel like that was quite a circuitous story to kind of talk about the death of your
Who? Snowman?
Frosty? My brother?
What are you talking about, man? Why are you being so weird all of a sudden? I killed my brother, is what I was alluding to.
I thought we moved on, but you want to actually bring it back.
No, you're right. Let's get on. Let's move on.
So this is quite a big thing to kind of try and move past.
I said let's move on.
You did admit to murder.
Right, yeah. Briefly, though.
You can't, it doesn't really matter how long or how short it takes you to talk about murdering someone. It's still I
could commit murder quicker than you could say it. And I admitted to it quicker than you could do it. So think about that for half a second.
It's not a challenge.
5 seconds, I'll kill 5 people.
Please
6
don't.
for every more second you give me. How's that for a challenge?
Please don't. I'm begging you to not do that.
It's too late.
Oh my god, he's down the street. Holy shit. He's knocking on doors. Oh my god. Pete, stay in your homes, people.
Where's the snowman?
Brother! So sorry for that cut in the podcast, guys. Rory has a hot cocoa in his hand. He's back on the sofa. I think we're back to the episode.
It's 6 years later. I'm on parole. We're going to finish the episode.
We managed to get him out of prison and into a mental institution and out on the weekends long enough to record this podcast.
Any beeps you hear is my ankle tag, but we'll try and cut those in the edit.
Well, on February 26th, weeks after Igor first set foot into the snow, the volunteer rescue team found Dead Mountain and found everything they had been looking for.
Oh god.
Mikhail Sharavin was a student volunteer who first spotted the campsite. He spotted a tent, half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty, but something wasn't right. No one remained in the tent, but all of their possessions were still inside. Shoes, clothes, everything.
Okay.
More bizarre and disturbing, the tent hadn't just been left, it was cut open with a knife, inside out.
Okay.
9 sets of footprints radiated out of the tent into the surrounding snow. Footprints made by people in socks, in one shoe, and even barefoot, were scattered around the site, leading in a path down the mountain towards a forest. At the edge of the path, in this wooded area, the team found evidence of a small fire, and beside it, 2 of the group, dead in the snow, only in their underwear.
Jeez.
There were broken branches about 5 meters above the fire, indicating that they tried to climb a tree and try and look at the surrounding area and maybe try and find their way back to the camp.
Right.
It was roughly minus 25 degrees when they left the tent. Can't have lasted long. Between the wood and the camp, they found 3 more bodies, spaced 300 meters away from the camp, 400 and then 600 meters away. One was Igor. Igor's last name was Dyatlov, and this story came to be known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. Little side note.
Cool.
Their bodies were posed like they were trying to get back to the tent. The other 4 were harder to find. Months later, they were found by rescue dogs, buried under like 5 meters of snow.
Oh my god.
2 of the bodies were dressed partially in the clothes of their friends that died before them. They couldn't find their way back to the camp and they were struggling to stay warm. Medical examinations of the bodies revealed no fatal injuries on some of them. However, others were devastated. Cracked skulls, severe head trauma, major chest fractures. One doctor said the pressure required for these injuries was like a car crash. And despite these injuries, they showed no outward signs of harm, except for one body, which was missing her tongue, eyes, and lips.
Jesus.
Experts disagreed over whether this was due to the body disintegrating or not.
Disintegrating?
Like...
the hell's going on here, Kit?
I think there was some talk of like, I don't know, like that body was maybe found face down in the snow.
In acid?
There was no sign of struggle with any of the bodies. There was no sign of struggle with the footprints or any of the bodies whatsoever. Weirdly, they had only died 6 to 8 hours after their last meal, so this wasn't even like they ran out of supplies and died. Something happened and they were forced into the wilderness and died. Because there was no guilty party, the case files were committed to a secret archive and have only been made available since the 90s. Everything after the facts I've just told you is pure speculation. What could possibly have happened to them? The official Soviet investigator into the tragedy, Lev Ivanov, concluded in his report that all 9 deaths had been caused by what he described as an unknown elemental force with which they were unable to overcome.
Ooh, spooky.
Privately, he told people they'd been killed by aliens. But had to tone it down a bit for the press.
Of course, yeah.
And that's where the official investigations ended.
Terrible investigation. Really abysmal. It was either a force of nature or aliens. Case closed.
I don't know.
I could tell you that.
What do you do, I guess, if people just mysteriously die?
I don't know.
Although this is weird. Access to the entire area was sealed off from prying eyes for the next 4 years, by which time the authorities believe this incident would have disappeared off the radar as many strange happenings did in the Soviet Empire. In such a remote location, one unlikely clue came as a report from perhaps the people closest to the site at the time of the incident. There was another group of hikers about 50 kilometers south of the incident. They reported that they saw strange orange spheres in the night sky to the north on the night of the incident.
So aliens.
Basically. Similar spheres were observed in Ivdel and adjacent areas continually during the period from February to March 1959 by various independent witnesses, including the Meteorological Service and the military. So those are the months after this event happened, there were these sightings in the sky. Indeed, some have noticed that the last photograph that was on a roll of film on the person of one of the victims appears to capture a giant flash in the night sky. But some people argue that might just have been like a glare or like accidental overexposure.
Or when you are taking a photo when it's snowing and then a bit of snow is right in front of the flash and then it's like poof, that bit of snow blows up.
I guess. You're the film guy.
Yeah.
Is that what happens?
I guess, yeah. Oh no, I'm thinking aliens. It was an alien. It's from aliens. Yeah. When you try and take a photo in the snow, and an alien cuts out your tongue and takes your eyes and puts you face down in the snow. And
God damn, I hate when that happens.
Yes, it's really annoying.
Thoughts so far? Positive? Otherwise?
It's a mysterious one. I don't quite know what to make of it. There's not really any explanations that I can see as of now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's what I kind of think is Yeah, like to put yourself in the shoes of the investigator in this case.
Yeah.
That's a pretty wild experience. Or the students that discovered them. I don't know what you would make of that.
What was their last meal? You said they died recently after their last meal. Wasn't that bread they broke, was it?
No, that was like a couple weeks previous.
Okay.
At that point, they've been out for a long time, I think. I think they brought food with them, and they'd also kind of foraged food. So
there you go, crazy berries.
Crazy berries.
That's my hypothesis. Crazy berries, or some goddamn like insane little rabbit, and they caught the little Mad Hatter.
What do you?
And ate him. And
Do you think it was an Alice in Wonderland situation?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Igor's freaking real name was Alice, actually.
Yeah. And he was late for an important date, and he ate the rabbit, and lost his tongue.
And he freaking killed everyone.
Alice in Wonderland. Can you eat meat that's so bad that you go insane and take all your clothes off?
Ooh.
That's a hard Google search, isn't it? I'll just Google girl clothes off.
Let's just see what happens there.
Girl off. It's porn. It's a lot of porn.
I can't say I didn't want it to happen.
You know what?
What's happened.
We'll go page 2. Just check.
Just see what's happening.
I'll add Russian.
Yeah, actually, link me that, and we can like cross-analysis this. I'll go straight to page 35, and then we'll try and meet in the middle.
Okay. Look, I'm sending you that one there. I'm gonna add. I know it was cold, but I'm gonna put hot in there and naked.
Yeah, just because they were naked
young.
Whenever they were
students. I'm gonna put students in there.
Yeah, put like co-eds or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Co-eds, hot, student, naked, Russian.
That should get us to this case. I would imagine.
Wild card. I'm gonna throw jizz in there just to see what comes up in case some sort of sex accident. You know how things can get hot and heavy in the. Is that it?
If everyone's in a tent together.
You go up there to the woods, you have a little tent orgy. No, I don't know where I'm going with that. That doesn't mean you go insane and lose a tongue.
This is a good point to bring this up. One man, Donnie Icar, who investigated this case and made a documentary about it, he argued that there may have been a romantic encounter that left some of them only partially clothed, but also led to a violent dispute. He said, it's highly implausible. By all indications, the group was largely harmonious, and sexual tension was confined to platonic flirtation and crushes. I think he thinks there may have been a violent orgy.
Right, okay.
That maybe, like, the 7 dudes got a bit competitive over the 2 ladies.
Right.
That seems like reaching to me. I don't think...
That seems like reaching to you? Not the orange orbs in the sky?
I think aliens is more likely than horny students.
Right,
personally.
Okay. But just in case, we'll continue with the horny student searching.
Right. Let's absolutely not get thrown off that...
As much as I want to Google the orbs thing, the aliens orb thing, I think we're getting somewhere at the minute with the with the porn angle, or with the student angle.
Yeah,
I think it's worth investigating.
With the Pornhub angle, I mean the crystallinks.com.
The crystal links
research.
The crystaldigs.com. Links crystallinks.com. Shit. Can we take a 5 actually? I stand up clearly with an erection. Well, weirdly bent over. I'll be a minute.
Just need to think about Snowman and my brother again. Oh, it's turning into a rage erection. The worst kind.
I think that's plausible.
Do you?
Well, I know. So, that's a condition of hypothermia, isn't it? Like the body is convinced it's
extreme horniness.
You know, when the body is exposed to extreme temperatures and you need to get it on.
When your body goes into a shock and it believes you're dying, so it sends you into a...
One last lay before...
Not so much fight or flight, but fight or fuck.
What a terrible, terrible phrase. An old grandpa telling you about, like, his past. It was like, it was one of those fight or scenarios. It's like, Grandma, that is not the phrase.
What?
Hypothermia, the body starts to believe that it's actually the opposite and you become incredibly warm. And it's a sign of hypothermia if you actually start taking off layers of clothes.
I'm glad you brought this up so we can get off the whole porn angle. Apparently that's called paradoxical undressing. I didn't know this technical term for that.
That's also a porn site.
Also, the $60 tier of our Patreon is known as Paranormal Undressing. You can see us in the nude, very lewd, and brooding.
150 is fight or You can choose to fight or one of us. Your choice.
It's like marry, kill, but just two of those things.
Fortunately, every contributor has picked to fight me.
And actually, they're pretty big dudes.
They're really strong.
I'm actually terrified.
Kick my ass. I'm begging for a No one wants to do it because I look like shit because I've been beaten so bad. It's a cycle.
Trying to fob them off with this Paranormal Life merch, but they're actually pretty dead set on the fight. International Science Times posited that the hiker's deaths were caused by hypothermia, which can induce a behavior known as paradoxical undressing, in which the hypothermic subjects remove their clothes in response to perceived feelings of burning warmth. It is totally accepted that 6 of the 9 hikers died of hypothermia. Part of the problem with that theory is that several in the group appear to have actually acquired additional clothing from their friends who had already died, which suggests they were sound enough mind to try and warm up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really explain the whole 9 hikers dying of undressing.
Were the ones that got the clothes taken off them the ones that were all smashed up?
I don't believe so. I believe the ones that were smashed up were the ones that were trying to get back to camp.
Oh,
I believe
okay.
the ones that were undressed and their friends had taken the clothes were the ones that were found buried.
Right.
And this is the crazy thing with this case is dive into it now, but there's a bunch of theories about what could have happened, and the problem is none of them satisfy. So, for example, lots of people have hypothesized they're in a snowy mountain, they're camped on the side of a mountain, they've been crushed, some of them are buried under snow, it's an avalanche.
Gotcha. Case closed.
Boom. Reporters on the site of the incident said that the mountain did not show any obvious signs of an avalanche having taken place. It would have left certain patterns of debris distributed over a wide area. The bodies found within 10 days of the event were covered with a very shallow layer of snow, and there was only a couple of the party covered in a deep layer of snow. Over 100 expeditions to the region have been held since the incident, and none of them have ever reported conditions that might create an avalanche. And thankfully, that more or less concludes the shitty, boring theories for what could have happened, and I will dive into the shit hot, sexy theories.
Right, it's good to get those ones out of the way. We gotta cover all angles.
One theory is that there was a wind traveling through the mountains that created what's known as a Kármán vortex, which can produce infrasound capable of inducing panic attacks in humans.
Wow. Is that real?
So they're suggesting that it got so windy they went insane.
Right.
Yeah, this guy Donny Icar, and he suggests that it could have caused physical discomfort and mental distress, and might have caused them in a panic to run out of the tent and freak out. Maybe if it happened to 1 or 2 of them, the others maybe ran out to try and get them back, and then in the blizzard couldn't find their way back.
It's an alright theory.
They're pretty stretchy.
I mean, you and me, kid, we grew up in the Windy City, Northern Ireland.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's borderline the windiest place on Earth.
That's fair.
And I don't recall being that mad as a child.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the wrong frequency of wind.
That's true.
It was quite low wind. Was that why I was always shitting myself?
It was very
we got
much
the
a
brown noise wind.
Yeah, I know. We had that nice sea breeze. Maybe if you're in a mountain pass,
It's just sounds like hyenas everywhere at all times.
It's very much an Axl Rose-esque howl.
Welcome to the mountains. Please take off your clothes. No, please.
I want to take your eyes.
It's just a theory. We're testing all the theories.
It's true. Extraordinary claims requires extraordinary evidence. Some people believe, this one's a little bit more believable to me, that there was some kind of military accident There seem to be records of parachute mines being tested by the Russian military in the areas surrounding this mountain at the time that they were there. Apparently, parachute mines detonate a meter or two before they hit the ground and would maybe produce similar damage to that experienced by the hikers. Sort of heavy internal damage with very little external trauma. This might have given rise to the orbs that were in the sky.
Yeah, I guess.
It could have been some sort of aircraft or the actual bombs dropping.
I guess that makes a bit more sense, because if that was true, it would explain the lights and the government being so weird about the event, because they obviously don't want to take blame for the death of these people.
Yeah.
They probably thought it was like a deserted area, so they're like, yeah, drop some bombs on Death Mountain.
And as I say, we've got kind of the plausible ones out of the way to make room for really the only real conclusion to what has happened. What I think is the most believable theory. It really ties together all of the loose ends. Really explains all of the little intricacies of how each victim died.
I'm very excited about this.
Sasquatch.
Oh god.
You were telling me that
explains so little.
the blunt force trauma inflicted upon Igor and his compatriots was not that of a Yeti beating down upon them with mighty force.
Mighty radioactive paws.
You're telling me it wasn't a radioactive Yeti?
That's a genuine theory?
Absolutely it is.
Some sort of ice beast?
Absolutely. What else would live on Dead Mountain in the outback of the frozen Siberian tundra than a Sasquatch?
Wolves? A bear? Real creatures? You look confused.
I've never heard of radioactive wolves in my life. Now a radioactive Sasquatch on the other hand.
Can you sell me on it? Have you got any, like, what's their argument towards Sassy? Gut feeling.
I don't need evidence where I'm going. I cock a magnum. To Siberia. Get in the Land Rover. It's a skateboard.
I said, get in.
The scientist that mentioned the blunt force trauma to some of the students matched that of a car crash.
Right.
No wolf is doing that. No bear is doing that.
A bear could.
Only
you seen
a
the Revenant?
Sasquatch could deal those kind of blows.
Absolutely a bear could do that. You see what they did to Leo? They wrecked him.
That's true, but what people don't realize is Leonardo DiCaprio is a very, very small man. Not only in mind and spirit, but also in stature. He's like I think I googled this prior to researching this case. He's a strong 4'5" or 6".
The technical term is hobbit.
Yeah.
He is actually on a mission with a ring, and in that movie he met a bear and was destroyed by the bear.
He was actually struck from the casting of Lord of the Rings for being too hobbit-like.
Yeah.
They couldn't really match up the other normal humans with Leonardo's truly hobbit-like features. It would have been a whole movie to himself, really.
It would have been 2 layers of forced perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, Leo would have had to essentially been standing on the lens of the camera to make him look like the same size as the actors. He is borderline a pixel, Leo. He is so small. Industry
insiders actually have let slip on Reddit that on the filming of The Great Gatsby, he had a frickin' Gillette sponsorship to keep his frickin' toes from not overgrowing into a bush of hobbit-like foot hair. He's an actual hobbit.
I would go bear before Sasquatch, personally. But if you have some fresh evidence, some fresh snow-preserved evidence to deliver upon me right now, I'm ready. I'm willing. Time is passing.
I'm filibustering.
Do you know what that word means?
It means I sit here until I'm right. Okay, I will concede for the sake of the narrative of this story that maybe the Yeti isn't the number one most plausible excuse for what's happened here. But listen, I'm done explaining what's happened here. I presented you with quite enough evidence about what's happened. I think you need to come to your own conclusions. What do you make of this case?
It's interesting. it's a mysterious one.
It surely is.
I'm not ready to just doubt this one right off the bat.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because it's so damn weird and weirdly down to earth.
Yeah.
As well.
It's very highly documented. I mean, this one is like the Russian state is like, yeah, we don't know. We're like, your guess is as good as ours.
Don't know. We don't know what happened to the mines. People in the mines. There were no mines. What? You said why'd you say mines then? I think maybe something weird with the Russian government is probably the best explanation. Especially, didn't you say it was cordoned off for like 4 months?
After the fact, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how weird that is. I'm not sure. I can't make my mind up, really.
Well, they found everyone.
Yeah.
And it was still cordoned off for 4 months.
Yeah.
But was there activity, or was it just like, this might not be safe? I mean, we should have known that Death Mountain wasn't going to be the leisurely stroll that we thought it was going to be.
I mean, they for sure shouldn't have put it in the Lonely Planet Siberia guide. That was rude of them.
Yeah, they're like, look, Death Mountain's closed down. Just take the west road to Puppy Hill. All right, thank you very much. Wait, that's where we test the... Nukes. Puppy Hill is nuked.
Puppies strewn hundreds of feet into the air.
Yeah, I think you investigated this. What are you thinking? What's your deal?
Yeah, it's very tough. I don't know why I'm like so unconvinced about them cordoning it off. I feel like to, on the one hand, to give them the benefit of the doubt, 9 people died there in mysterious circumstances with radioactive activity and their tongues ripped out of their heads. So I kind of understand why they might have cordoned it off, because they're like, let's just prevent that ever happening again.
Right.
It reminds me of, do you ever see the Tunguska impact?
No.
It was this crazy, I think it only reminds me because it happened in Siberia. You can look it up. It was basically like a modern meteor strike, but it was because it was so out in the wilderness of Siberia and no one lived for hundreds of miles. No one saw it happen.
Yeah.
And then basically one day people just came across forest just flattened for like hundreds of miles.
Whoa.
And it was like a meteor impact just destroyed this whole area in Siberia. And this is in the last 100 years. There's photographs of it.
That's crazy.
And I don't know, it just makes me think maybe there's some wild like cosmic explanation or like natural phenomenon, like the investigator said. You know, he didn't say it was a Yeti, he didn't say it was an explosion. He was like, just some natural phenomenon has made this happen.
Yeah, wow.
But I don't know, if we have to start drawing conclusions, I think for me the most likely thing, yeah, maybe military testing, something that caused them to just flee in panic and then get lost.
Yeah.
I think I really want to say yes, it's paranormal.
Right.
But I think it's not.
Oh, you think there's something going on?
I don't know if it was a Yeti. I don't know if it was like some sort of paranormal haunting. I think something we don't understand yet happened. I don't think it was just a landmine. I don't think it was just an avalanche. Those things, like the evidence is kind of like higgledy-piggledy.
Right.
I think we don't know what it is yet. And for that reason, it's unexplained. It's paranormal to me.
That's a yes.
That's a yes.
Nice one. We finally got a yes to break our streak. I'm going no.
Cool.
I think it was a weird sex party that went south real fast when they tried to go south.
Real fast.
I think these people were freaks. Most likely.
Really rude. There is memorials all over Siberia for these 9 students.
I think something weird happened up there with them, or some of them. Some of them tried to flee. Some of them froze to death. Some of them got their heads caved in. The orange lights, that's a little harder to explain. And I don't know if I can. I think that's paranormal. But I don't see enough evidence here to suggest what happened to these people being paranormal.
More than fair. So
That's my
you're
2
saying
cents.
a no, you traitorous piece of shit?
I will freeze you so cold.
Anyway, let's get this over with so we can continue the...
Right, the search. Just in case there's
search.
more evidence.
That's right. We need to... I think this is more of an open investigation.
Right. I can't wait to see the research notes for this podcast. which you can also see by donating as little as $2 to our Patreon, the This Paranormal Life Patreon.
Quite right. If you want to see the images of...
Trust me, you want to see these images.
of the frozen to death, head caved in students, frozen in the snow for time and memoriam, just check out our show notes blog. That's on the $2 tier, plus on Patreon. For more than that, you can get into merchandise and all that stuff if you want to get totally crazy. We also have a super secret, super exclusive, very...
Shh, are we even going to talk about this? Are you serious?
Whoa, shit. I forgot that this is...
It's a secret society.
I just forgot...
The Facebook society.
I forgot it was... I thought it was like a...
The Facebook
like
one.
a frickin' nightclub.
No.
Deal.
It's super secret. This Paranormal Life Facebook society.
Okay.
It's a group you can join on Facebook.
Okay, so I won't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone about it.
Okay.
We should plug it in one of these episodes.
Yeah, at some point.
At some point, yeah. We're joining.
Yeah,
I mean,
the craziest stuff's going on in there.
It's so crazy.
Wild. It's crazy. But also, shh. If you have your own thoughts about this particular episode or any of your own experiences you would like to share with us, you can send those into This Paranormal Life Podcast at gmail.com. We're on socials. Twitter at This Para Life. Rory's at Rory Has Powers. I'm at Kit Greer, Grier. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/This Paranormal Life. And I would like to take a special moment in this podcast to thank some of the patrons who have pledged to us on Patreon. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you to Robin.
Robin, you are the best bird in my life.
Simon Hogg.
Simon has a hog. I've seen that thing.
It writes itself, really.
It is a beast.
Sarah Fee.
Sarah Fee pays us a fee for our podcasting. The Patreon is what I'm implying, is a fee.
Jacob Bartnick.
Jacob, it's a weird second name, but I like it.
Sally Butler.
Sally, you can be my butler anytime. Get me a glass of milk.
Peter Hall.
Peter, deck the halls. It's Christmas soon. It's really flawless how I can just come up with something for all these names, isn't it? It's really impressive.
Cedric Voigt.
I've got nothing.
Cedric Voigt. He's my boy. Dylan Vaughn.
Dylan, thank you so much for contributing to the Patreon.
Alexander Ward.
Alexander, you are my favorite ward in this hospital of love.
Lisa Flynn,
how dare you show your face on this podcast?
Oh my god, not again. Johnny J,
my man JJ.
Ellen Mackenzie,
we fought together in the First World War. You are a great soldier, you are a great friend. I will treasure our moments together forever.
Connor Wallen.
You're fucking kidding me with that, man. Connor, say his second name one more time.
Wallen.
When I defected, he was the first one to call me out on it. Like a coward.
Victor Moore,
you're the one that got me that cat for my 3rd birthday. You are more than a friend. You're family, buddy.
David Lever,
you've got the lever on me. Don't give me those eyes. Don't question it. They're not all going to be gold, all right?
Ethan Tier.
You sound just like my freaking dad. Ethan, you have reached this Patreon tier, and that reward is my undying love. Whether you want it or not, Ethan.
Charlie Morrison.
You're getting it, Ethan. It's coming in quick and fast.
Please move on.
Sorry, who was that?
Charlie Morrison.
You're more than my son, Charlie. You're my friend. And I hate my son.
Thank you so much to all of the people we just mentioned. And if you have not heard your name be called out right here in the podcast, that's because we're gonna do it next week.
Exactly. There's only so much flawless improv I can rattle off my dome. So, I need time to recharge, people.
I'm actually sending that little segment as a sizzle reel to HBO, and I really think it's gonna get picked up.
I really think SNL are gonna wanna listen to that.
A piece of this. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.
Bye-bye.